morning, guys, and welcome back to the Movement Youth once again this week. And today we're going to be talking about how we hear from God and how we pray to seek God for our purpose and His plans for our lives. And the way the Lord has led me to write today's message is from the perspective of how I prepare for these talks. And I'm not going to give you a direct answer in how to hear your purpose from God. Rather, I'm going to share the method I use to draw near to God. What I tend to do is I pray at the start of the week, and I ask God to tell me how or show me what He wants me to share with you guys for this message. And so I go about my week as normal, waiting to hear or to see where God leads me. And at times I struggle. I walk through the week and I may feel far from the Lord, or I've got caught up in work or having some sort of social life, and then I get to Thursday night and I'm like, oh, what is it that God has been showing or telling me through this week? And from my experience, the weeks where I'm intentionally drawing close to the Lord, He draws near to me, and that's when I hear Him clearest. It says in James chapter 4 that we should draw near to God, and it says He will draw near to you. And these verses speak of how to resist the devil and how the devil must flee when we draw near to God, as He draws near to us, and His goodness overcomes all evil, and therefore the enemy must flee in that situation. But what I want you to think about is, when we draw near to God, surely as we come closer in our relationship with God, and as He comes to meet with us, then surely we are more likely to hear His voice, and therefore His guidance for our lives becomes much easier to understand and much clearer for us to hear. And so as I was drawing near to God this week, He spoke 6 words to me as I was working, and He brought me to a place where I remembered some words that were wrote on a table in Castledorg, Elam. Actually, I was there a few nights with Stephanie and the guys. They were leading worship in a friends and family night, and it said this on the table. It said, "Do this in remembrance of me." And it probably didn't say it in those words. It probably said it in some sort of King James version, where it was doeth this in remembrance of me, or something along those lines. But despite the change in the generational language that was used, the same should be true for us today. And what do those words mean to us? You see, what I believe is the Lord was showing me through those words was, firstly, draw near to Him and He will draw near to you. Secondly, never forget what Jesus has done for me and for you on the cross. That He got up on a cross and took the sins of the world, everything you and I ever have done wrong, and He paid the ultimate price so that we may be set free. And so that is the message for you guys this week, that draw near to God and remember all that He has done. Have conversations in prayer with God, read His word and find out more about what God's character is like, and always remember what He's done, so that it is possible for you to have that close relationship with God once again. Never forget it. As it said on the table, do this in remembrance of me. And that talks of taking the emblems, the bread and the wine, and to remember that His body was broken for us, and the wine, that His blood was shed to pay the price for our sins. And so finally, to finish, Steph asked me a good question the other day as we were preparing for this talk, and she said, what would my response be if one of you guys as the youth asked me, how do you tell the difference between, say, my own thoughts and God speaking to me about, say, my purpose? And my response was, when you hear from God, whether it be through a vision, a dream, or perhaps as He speaks to you, write it down and pray into it. Search his word and see if what was spoken or shown to you in this dream or vision aligns with God's character and with his word. And lastly, I would say also ask God for somebody to come alongside you, to encourage you, to see the doors open in that direction, and ask God to lead you step by step in faith that you would head in the direction of the purposes that he has for you. So I'll leave you with one last thing. In my experience, when you enter into the presence of God, a peace comes over you that seems to be beyond all understanding. And in a moment as he speaks and gives you guidance, there appears to be clarity, even though that you may not understand what has been spoken. So you may not understand or see what this dream or this vision means. Just like in the field, as we talked about last week on Joseph, he had a vision or a dream, should I say, of sheaves standing in the middle of the field. There was one sheaf, and then these other ones were bowing down to it, and the brothers we've seen interpreted that as that they would be bowing down to Joseph one day. But really, when you look at the whole story and see how it all unfolded, they wouldn't have maybe even contemplated that Joseph would one day be standing beside Pharaoh, one of the most powerful men in Egypt at the time, and that he would be in a position of authority of such great importance. They may have looked at that vision and went, oh, he's just going to be, this dream is talking about Joseph being the head of the household or something, and the brothers would bow down to it. So they may not have understood at the time what the vision meant, but what is important to realize is Joseph stayed faithful to God and followed him faithfully step by step, even though he didn't understand what was going on around, and God led him in the direction that he needed to go. So let's draw near to God this week and hear what he has in store for you. And remember, God's not in the business of perfection. Instead, he's in the business of progression. So perhaps the fact is that you may not pray at all during the week at the moment. Well, I encourage you this week to pray at least once to God. And likewise, perhaps you read the Bible like twice a week. Well, I encourage you to not just read it, but to draw near to God, read his word, and ask him in prayer for more understanding so that you may grow closer in your relationship with God. And all of this has all been made possible by the finished work of Jesus Christ on the cross. Without the gospel and without the finished work of the cross, I am nothing. And so Jesus must come first. He must be our focus at all times, as he is the only way to the Father. As it says in John 14:6, I am the way, the truth, and the life. No one comes to the Father except through me. And these were Jesus's words. So I encourage you guys, dive in deep into the word this week and experience everything that God has in store for you by drawing near to him, and he will draw near to you. So thank you so much, guys, for listening, and I'll see you again next week, and we'll be continuing on in this series. So have a good week, guys.